Hello everyone and welcome back to MixBuzz TV mixing and mastering tutorials on YouTube. I'm your host David, and in this video I want to show you a very simple but effective trick to make a big wide snare without losing the punch. I came up with this for this mix. The band is called Chaos India, song's called Stay, and I'm gonna play you a snip of the mix. Pay attention to the drums, but specifically to the snare, because that's what we're talking about today. Here's the mix.
You can say with your voice, no more consolation. People full of you, of yourself. Fight for resolution.
So a very spacious mix, very wide, with a lot of ambience on guitars and vocals and drums too. And if you notice, the snare goes too dry-ish on the verses, too big and wide on choruses. And let's see what the processing was. This is a very simple trick, like I said, but is pretty effective. As usual, I have to say, it will not sound anything like the mix because, well, on drums I'm missing a lot of hardware here. Specifically, I'm missing my mono crush bus with the distressor, which I tried to recreate with the CLI 76, and I'm missing the whole parallel drum bus with the API 2500. I'm missing my drummer 1976 on the drum itself, so nothing will sound the same, but it's gonna be okay for the video. So this trick is on the snare. Let's listen to the drum by itself, even with all the missing hardware, and let's go from the verse to the chorus. Listen this passage here, the difference, the snare. Okay, the channel we are interested in is this. I call it snare sustain. Before checking out the processing on that parallel channel, that's what it is. Let's see what we have track-wise. We have a snare top, the original one. Bottom. A sample I added, mono. A room sample I added. Okay, so we have 4 snare, 2 original, 2 samples. So these 4 snare tracks go to my snare sum. Processing on it, I'm missing my RNC here too, but it's okay. So what I wanted here was to create contrast. I wanted a bigger, wider snare for the choruses and a drier, smaller snare for the verses. So I sent all my snares from the snare sum channel with all the processing on to this snare sustain aux channel. Let's solo it and listen to how it sounds by itself. The line that you see is just the level automation. Higher on the choruses, lower on the verses. Let me turn the volume up. Let's listen to it with the snare. Okay, so it's a simple trick. Let's see the processing. I had the Pro Tools Expander Gate as a first processing just to, contain the bleed because I'm using the original snare. Let's bypass all this. So Like this is just a copy of all my snares of what comes from the snare sum channel, just with the gate on. And the real processing is the SPL Transient Designer. This is, what gives us the sustain. As you can see, my settings are extreme. Attack is all the way down, sustain is all the way up. This way, I'm obviously taking all the attack off and bring up the sustain, the ambient, because remember, I have this room samples here, but the original snare does have ambience on its own as well. So this way, my ambient channel here, my sustain channel, is not blurring the original snare. I still have the punch. I still have the attack from the snare sum channel from my dry snare, and I get the width and the depth from this processing here. Zero attack, all the sustain up. Okay? After the SPL Transient Designer, by the way, you can try to use any other Transient Designer to do this. In my opinion, nothing really sounds like the SPL for this. I don't know, maybe I'm just used to its sound, but for me it has a specific sound, a specific action that I like. For me, there's no substitute for this. Anyway, after the SPL, I have a reverb. In this case, I used impulses. And if you're curious about the impulse, is a Bricasti M7. It's called Django's Room. So this is without. This is with the verb. Okay? Big difference. This gives us obviously the room sound, the real room sound. And after that, it's just an EQ, just a wide cut of, not even 2 dBs here at 5.4K, just to tame that harsh range. This is with the snare. Without. Let's listen to the whole drum with and without. Big difference. So big difference, isn't it? And I also have a dedicated reverb for the snare. One for toms too. Let's go from the chorus to the verse. See, it creates contrast. So a very simple trick, but very effective for me in this case. Contain the bleed with the gate, transient designer, attack all the way down, sustain all the way up, and add, some kind of room reverb, and tuck it in under the original snare. Again, create contrast. Automation, the level automation is everything. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's listen to the mix one last time.
On the open door, and it's hard to make it change, to make it stay. Oh,
Okay, so you hear it blends very well with the rest of the instruments. It's not that obvious in the mix, but yeah, it helps sit the drum in the right place when the big chorus with all the ambient guitars and vocals come in. And I liked it, and I hope you did too. And that's a wrap. This is it for this video, guys. I hope you liked it. I hope it was informative. If you liked it, please leave a comment down below and don't forget to hit the like button. Join us on Facebook and Twitter to stay in touch with us and get all the news about the channel, upcoming videos and series, and access to exclusive content. Please keep supporting MixBuzz TV by sharing the videos and spreading the word on blogs, forums, social media. Subscribe if you haven't already, and see you next time.